Maritime Made on Eastlink is presented by Nova Scotia Business Inc., working with companies across Nova Scotia to be more successful exporters every step of the way.
Veronica MacIsaac Apparel, based out of Halifax, Nova Scotia, makes signature fashion designs. She uses traditional tartan fabric and gives it a modern twist, updating it for the 21st century. Today, she's making a wedding ensemble, a formal floor-length skirt with tartan train and coordinating top.
Veronica MacIsaac Apparel is the company I started 13 years ago. So my business is officially a teenager now. And it all started because my parents own a kilt making business. And their business started because I was a competitive Highland dancer and my brother was a competitive bagpiper. We needed new kilts. My mom was a seamstress, so she thought, let's make kilts. And it's kind of started organically. I started my business because there was definitely a market for women's wear in tartan. Men have the kilt and that's like their standard go-to garment. Women don't have that kind of standard costume. And so I thought, people often forget that tartan is just a fabric. It can be made into anything. It doesn't need to be a mid-calf length pleated skirt. So I wanted to create garments, but in, contemporary style, so people could feel comfortable wearing it to an event and not feel sort of like the sticking out in the crowd kind of thing.
A new fiancé is having a consultation to decide on a garment and tartan combination. Veronica also offers this step digitally. The client's father's family is from the Campbell clan, so modern Campbell of Argyll is the tartan chosen. Measurements begin, as each item Veronica makes is bespoke. Her bust, waist, hips, back waist, bust point, and leg length are measured. These details are recorded on an order form. This is where Veronica works out the math. She then spreads out the fabric using chalk and a ruler to mark out the measurements according to the shape of the design. The fabric could be silk, crepe, wool, or satin. Given that each item is custom-made, Veronica doesn't follow an exact pattern. She measures 3 specific sections of the skirt from one large rectangular cloth, a front and 2 back pieces. Next, they're cut out.
I do this work because I do think it's very important to keep heritage and culture alive. A lot of people kind of don't realize the power behind Scottish heritage and the just massive amounts of history involved in it. And for me, these tartans are not just nice colors. It's not just about the plaid. It's the history behind it and what this meant to our ancestors and what this represents. And the fashion part of it for me is secondary. It's the culture and the heritage that's number one. Seeing a bride want to come and incorporate tartan into her wedding day, seeing her also want to incorporate her husband's tartan into her wedding day, I just find that stuff so, rewarding to me.
Now, with the final pieces to sew, Veronica starts on the 1951 Singer sewing machine she recently inherited from her grandmother. She begins by winding the bobbin. Once wound, this is removed and put in a shuttle that gets placed inside the bottom of the machine. Next, it's threaded. She begins sewing darts. Darts are pie-shaped pieces tapering the fabric in at the waist from the hips. She searches for areas with markings chalked in and makes small, pleated seams. Next, she works on making the side seams. There is no reverse function on this machine, so the fabric is flipped around. When working on the back panel, she leaves a space at the top for the zipper and at the bottom for the tartan pleats. This client lives locally and can easily return for a fitting. Veronica places pins where any adjustments will be made. Afterwards, Veronica marks these spots and makes the alterations. After slightly adjusting the side seams, she presses them open. Tucking the outside of the seam under, she stitches it down so the raw edge doesn't show. Finished with this fabric, she moves on to the tartan. Clients can choose between traditional wool, polyviscose, or silk. After ironing, she determines where to make the train's even pleats and begins to press them. It's important to let each cool completely to set. Next, she measures and cuts out the tartan waistband. Following this, she selects a zipper to match the tartan's details. She places pins in the center of the skirt and the center of the waistband and proceeds to sew it on. She then attaches the zipper and encases it with the waistband. The bottom of the skirt is hemmed, and the train is sewn into the skirt. Finally, everything can be turned out for a last pressing. It takes approximately 4 to 5 hours to complete this beautiful custom piece. Veronica also creates cuffs for everyday wear and to stylishly approach the tradition of taking on a new family's tartan at wedding ceremonies. This client is joining a MacDonald family, and muted MacDonald of Glencoe tartan is chosen. Veronica begins marking out a trapezoid design and cuts this out on the bias. She places the tartan over canvas with black fabric on the bottom and proceeds to sew their entire perimeter, aside from one section. Turning this inside out, she clips the corners before flipping it back, using scissors to push out the points. It's pressed and the ends get stitched closed. Using a leather hole puncher, she makes 3 holes in each end. Next, she selects and fits 6 grommets, crimping them in. She proceeds to cross-lace elastic, attaching the ends, and eventually ties this off and trims any excess. The final fitting allows for any minor tweaks.
I would say I probably export at least 85% of my goods go outside the province. It's definitely the people outside of Nova Scotia who are even the Nova Scotia pride kind of thing, you know, like people who are from here, or their families are from here, their grandparents are from here, but they live in Ontario or BC or the States. Those people are the ones that are oftentimes my biggest customers. So half of my website is the online store where people can purchase things right then and there, a lot of accessories and things like that, and a couple of garments in there as well. But the bulk of what I do are the custom-made garments. And that means people can choose whatever style they want from my large collection available. They can choose whatever tartan they want. And then I make a bespoke garment for them. Bespoke just means it's made to measure to someone's measurements with their fabric specification and choices.